From DULONG to BEAS, Flow of the Soul by myself. It was published in 2012 by Authors Press, New Delhi. It's a collection of poems based on different issues related to me, society, and the living totality where myself, being an individual, and my identity as a group, that means anthropologically group identity has been fixed up, all come into the poetic musing through the words of expression in this particular book. If we look into the collection, there are poems on tribal issues, there are poems on villages, there are poems on cities, there are poems on different kinds of syndromes, modern syndromes that modern man faces. There are also poems on mythology, Greek mythology, Roman mythology. Some poems are set in Australia, New Zealand, and some poems are about relationship, about human affairs, and the complex situation, social changeover, social crossover, how the old society, old habits are dying first, how prominent fashions are being ignored and giving the preference to new trends. Some poems dealing with children, how and what way the poet looks at them when they play in the rain, for example. Some small issues which may seem to be small, but for a poet which are larger than life. Possibly we have forgotten to dream in this modern era. That is the most fascinating decaying process that we have been facing. We are so hectically busy with our day-to-day exercise, commitments, problems, problematics, and all these associated things. We have forgotten to dream. And my poems in this collection are all about that. My life, if we look back, is a crossover of a village life to small city life, then a metro city life. So it's a facet, it's a picture gallery of life in totality. 2 lines from my poem, Relationship. I want my relationships to hover around me like a fairy over a garden. A child with her mother, not like a wasp or a snake that coils and coils. There are so many poems about the river Ganges. There are so many poems about the river Brahmaputra, Kaveri. Possibly it is time that we celebrate our small local things which are not being explored at all. DULONG here is a symbol of marginal things which remain margin even in a post-colonial space. How many of us really know that this sweet small river flows through tribal villages in a part of Bengal, part of Jharkhand, but it has a great economical contribution to the economy of that part, maybe not in a larger scale like the Ganges, but it contributes a lot to the economy of the local people. And there are so many temples which are really prevalent on the banks on the river DULONG. So the choice of the word DULONG is deliberate as an act of celebration of marginal things and bringing them into the center. And BEAS is upper stage of the Himalaya. So DULONG to BEAS is a panoramic picture of India. Of course, definitely. Because in the poem I have expressed, I visited Ratan Babu's Ghat, where Ramakrishna was, the last remains of Ramakrishna is there. But it's, nobody takes care of it. And the other side of the bank of the Ganges, there is Belur Mott. And if you look back the other side, there is Ratan Babu's Ghat. But people have totally forgotten the glory associated, the cultural contribution, social contribution, religious contribution, the tradition in the villages. There is a great shift because of the market economy. And there is always a shift from old village concept into modern space where all the facilities are, modern facilities are available, but values are not being properly taken care of, because maybe one problem is no longer, we don't go with joint family in that way as it was a few years back. Some local festivals, the mode of expression, modes of entertainment, all have undergone a shift towards a direction. So a poet is to react, and a poet's soul is touched with all these. Suppose there is a poem, My Old Flute. I'm sure these days the sal trees, an important source of hardwood timber, look back, and its slow silent flowering, the seasons return, the prayer for peace shall revive its color from its sleep. I nourish my thoughts to grow up as a sal, like full DULONG, where you all shall be my pregnant foliage. Sometimes some important personalities, important in a sense, who do not follow the common run of humanity, impress me a lot. One of them is Manoranjan Bapari, who was a rickshaw puller, learned the alphabets, Bengali alphabets in Alipur Central Jail at the age of 25, but now novels are well celebrated in Bengal. For example, the latest one came out in last year, book fair. Witnessing his life, I have written a poem. We exist. Day leads to a silent night. In rickshaw puller Bapari's house, family members are in bad temper when sheltered in a shade of basket and a furrow. The eldest son is in the lockup. Some have maligned his name for false charges. Have not struggling for a roti at Jadavpur station like a battle for partition. Who will think for the Dalits? Good time vanishes like earth bubbles. The residue remains as a restless reality. The journey begins. Now the jaws are stiff. We have announced war against sleep. And this book has been reviewed extensively in India and abroad in almost all leading magazines, including News India, Current Issue. And the introduction is written by one of the eminent professors from US, Paula Hayes. And I remain grateful to all the reviewers and those who are associated with the book.